Hi, everyone, and welcome to our second Google Hangout with Pro Bono Attorney of the Month, Latania Mena. Thank you so much for joining us, Latina. And just to give a little bit of background, Latina is our Pro Bono attorney in Houston who took on her first Pro Bono case and won her first asylum case for a kind client, Leon. So I'm going to get started and just get into asking you some questions, Latina. I guess first, can you just describe what you do and how you became involved in Kind?
Well, absolutely. Well, let me first start by saying thank you for having me. It's an honor. And I've been practicing as an attorney for about 20 years, exclusively in government services, and as an immigration practitioner for a little over 2 years. I became involved with Kind through the Houston Pro Bono initiative. And Kind made a presentation on unaccompanied minors, and I was simply appalled at the sheer number of kids that were facing the legal system by themselves. And I figured I needed to be an advocate. I needed to get involved right away.
Great. And I guess then that leads me into my next question, kind of what aspects of this issue resonate most with you? This issue of due process for unaccompanied children, or and what else?
I think for me, it's the reality that they can't do much by themselves. Without us, they're not able to navigate through that system. They're not able to get to the relief they need. They're simply going back to that place of harm that they fled in the first place.
Absolutely. And so could you explain a bit about your pro bono case and working with Leon, why he fled, what it was like meeting him for the first time, and that kind of immigration court process that you walked through with him?
Well, Leon came here at the age of 13, about a year and a half ago, and he fled El Salvador, fled the home that should have protected him because he faced abuse and violence through his father. And his situation was a little more complicated than usual because his father also wanted him to be an accomplice in break-ins and burglaries and robberies. And once he resisted that type of lifestyle, the violence and the abuse escalated. And so he fled thinking that's the only option he had. And so he fled to the US. Asylum was the only relief he had. And we took that on with everything we had. I was excited to work with him. I think I was a little anxious about the challenge we would face because I'm not a Spanish speaker and he was not an English speaker, but we managed to navigate through that, and it helped that we had the same interpreter for the entire case. We were blessed to have the same interpreter for the entire case. He was willing to work with me, and we went through court. We had several court hearings. We filed his application also with the asylum office, and we were successful. And we're still celebrating that today. We've made a difference for this child.
Absolutely. And I guess also why is Leon's case outcome such a huge accomplishment in the Houston area? You mentioned asylum was really his only option. So could you speak a little bit about that?
Well, I think for us here in Houston, it says we're going in the right direction. It says collectively as attorneys and advocates, we can make the difference in these children's lives. It's not possible for them to navigate the legal system alone. It's complex, it's convoluted, it's not possible for the average adult with no legal skills, much less the most vulnerable among us, the kids. And I think that we're heading in the right direction. And we just need more attorneys to come on out and join the troop.
Exactly. And in working with Leon, what do you think the biggest lesson learned was and that personal growth moment of working with a child throughout their court process?
Wow, I think it would be the realization that your legal skills are enough. You don't have to be an immigration attorney to be able to assist these children. I think our basic legal skills and our expertise will be able to assist us in helping them to navigate the system much better than they can on their own. And that for me was the biggest takeaway, that there's always an opportunity to help, and they're definitely the ones we should target. I was also happy to work with Kind. I think Kind made that connection, made that cry for help really clear, and that's what I take away from this. It's important to lend our skills.
Great. And could you explain also a little bit about that process of working with Kind through that mentorship process? Because Leon was your case, your pro bono case that you represented, but then how did Kind kind of set you up with him and that process of mentorship?
Well, I had the opportunity to work directly with the legal staff, and I was very impressed with their level of competence. I felt that we were preparing the best defense. I had the tools I needed through Kind to prepare the best legal strategy, and I got all the resources, precedents. We simply walked through the case as we would any other, and that kind of resource was very important in this particular case.
Great. And then my last question for you is why you think it is so important for attorneys to engage as advocates for these pro bono issues, to work with vulnerable unaccompanied children?
There's a great need. There's a great need for our expertise. There's a great need to help these children navigate through the system. They'll not be able to make their cases without our help. It's just not possible. It's absolutely not possible to navigate the immigration system without legal help. And there's so many more children that require this kind of input. And I think that more attorneys joining this particular troop, as I like to call it, will make that big difference. And I look forward to that continued partnership with Kind on this.
Great. Well, I think that that is a perfect note to end on. Thank you so much for joining us, Latania, and I will look forward to hearing more about the cases down in Houston.
Absolutely. Thank you too, Alex.
Bye.